The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
Erlich von Donuts, head ancient alien researcher, that is Hayden Orr. And my pronouns are also he, him.
Oh, yeah, so, I guess, hot off the trail of our, sort of, intelligent brain in a jar series of movies, we are slumming it this week with, the extremely dumb Frankenstein in a women's prison, which I believe these people, if I remember right, they'd done a couple of these. In fact, I want to say, didn't the Silver Scream, the girls from that, do like Wolfman in a women's prison or something?
Yeah,
like that.
And there's also they've got Dracula in a women's prison. I think the director did another werewolf movie that's not a women's prison movie, but it's like the same kind of vibe as this. But yeah. There's a whole trilogy of like the classic Universal monsters in a women's prison. If you're so inclined.
Yeah, and the whole women's prison thing was like such a big subgenre of like early exploitation stuff, but I mean, I think, clearly this is a movie made by people who like a lot of exploitation. We're playing with monster movies, we're doing the women's prison thing. It's very much a throwback, but at the same time, like, the vibes are more like Skinamax softcore. There is a little bit more of a plot than that, but like
only slightly, like.
Yeah, and I will say, like, there's a couple, extended little, like, sex scene bits, but, like, they're a little tamer than what you would get from something like that. They're leaning into that stuff a little less, intensely, but it's certainly still there. I feel like there's, like, maybe two or three, but, yeah, obviously we'll talk about them as we get to them, but, I can't remember. I don't think I definitely listened to that episode of The Silver Scream, but I don't think I actually watched that movie. I don't remember if they all take place in this same women's prison in this weird fictional South American country or whatever.
I don't think they do, which, to be perfectly honest, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think the Silver Scream girls really cared all that much for that movie, and so I don't think they actually talked about it as much as they did like the other werewolf movies that they have covered. I think they kind of were like, yeah, this thing's completely like just slop. And I think they talked about like Vampire Diaries or something, or no, they were talking about not Drag Race, the Boulet Brothers, I think.
Oh, Dragula. Yeah.
Or maybe I'm misremembering, but I do remember that Alyssa and Courtney had a running segment where they would talk about Drag Race and Dragula.
Yeah, and they definitely occasionally would have an episode where it was like, this movie sucked. They'll talk about it for like 5 minutes, and then the episode's 20 minutes long, and it's mostly them catching up. And it was still fun. This one, like, it's not a great movie, but I didn't have a bad time with it.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing ever. Have you seen any of like the old like classic women's prison movies that people, I guess, are probably thinking of when they think of that subgenre?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them. I know I've seen like I think I've seen Caged Heat, which is like one of the main ones that people talk about. And I've definitely seen some of the ones that are like vaguely like Nazi adjacent, the she-wolf type movies and stuff. But yeah, those movies are also, when you see the title, like you pretty much, whether you've seen one of these or not, you know right away, like this is an opportunity to just have a lot of women around each other in various stages of undress. We're probably going to have some like cat fight type violence. We're also probably going to have some like full on like, lesbian erotica type scenes. That's the bread and butter.
Oh, the lesbian erotica of it all. It's here, which I mean we'll talk about it when we get to it. But I was surprised at the beginning because I was like, wow, that's pretty progressive. There's something that happens that I was like, I can't believe they're being, so weirdly respectful. But then it turns out they weren't being progressive and.
I have a feeling I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but
yeah, I think you do. But let's get into it.
Yeah. So, as the title indicates, we start out in a women's prison. We have a woman who is very obviously our Frankenstein character. She's in a cell. She's covered it with like, diagrams and equations and stuff with chalk. She's just like doing some work. And then
she's giving real Dr. Niemann vibes from House of Frankenstein.
Absolutely, yeah.
In fact, there's a lot of like Universal references and callbacks, like for the Universal movies specifically in this movie that I was catching left and right. I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, again, for as trashy and ridiculous as this is, there is an amount of like love put into this that like these people clearly like care about these genres that they're having fun with. So I appreciate that always. But yeah, so she ends up, she drops the chalk, it rolls out for where she can't reach it anymore outside of the cell. And so she, asks a guard to return it to her. And of course, the guard is wearing, not a normal prison guard uniform, but one that you might pick up at Spirit Halloween, perhaps. Has maybe 2 buttons buttoned on it. And, she's just begging for the chalk back. Like, please, I'm so close to like my greatest medical achievement yet. And the guard calls her Dr. Butcher, MD, and, refuses to give her the chalk. And then eventually she's like, well, my husband's been neglecting me. So maybe if you might be able to help me out a little bit, maybe I can help you out a little bit. And so, of course, the guard takes off her top and starts coming near the bars and everything. And sort of, she's like grinding against the prison bars and everything, which gives our inmate the opportunity to reach through the bars and choke her and like break her neck. She like just straight up kills this guard. And, is able to reach through the bars and get the keys to finally escape. And as she's escaping, she also, says, I will give you something that your husband never did, life. But before that, I must kill or something. So she, she's going to be part of the experiment, obviously. In fact, I think it's still a little bit before we get the name, but this is Victoria Frankenstein, of course.
Yeah.
And she wisely, rather than just like trying to escape by herself, passes the keys around so that, let a lot of inmates escape, cause chaos, a lot, cause a distraction, basically. So as other prisoners are like running around, attacking other guards, we get, pretty extended prison riot scene, basically, also just a hallmark of like prison exploitation movies in general. But in this case, we've got a lot of sexy inmates and sexy prison guards, and they're fighting.
Yeah, the dress code for the guards at this prison seems to be leather miniskirt, corset, and horse riding whip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that seems to be when you start working here, they give you your uniform, and it's just that.
Yeah, very femdom guards, and then the inmates are not wearing much more. They are at least like prison inmate type outfits, but of course, short and up unbuttoned a lot at the top. It's the whole thing, exactly what you would expect.
Oh yeah.
But we run into, or as this is going on, we see a warden who is pretty much the only man we see in the whole movie. He's using the riot as an opportunity to try to steal a bunch of money from the jail. He's like stuffing a briefcase full of money and going to try to like
stuffing it with several hundreds of dollars. It's so little. I was laughing so hard at that because he's got that huge ass metal like briefcase, and it's like 4 or 5 stacks of fake money. It's like not even like a suitcase filled to the very top like you would see in a movie normally.
Yeah, it's so silly. And we also meet of course, we have to have a hunchback assistant. She's also an inmate, and her name is Otto. Is that right?
Yeah, at first I was like, huh? Did I hear that right? But yeah, she's Otto.
Yeah, not a name you usually hear a woman have, but and it's her whole plot is, of course, one we've seen several times over as well. In fact, from the same House of Frankenstein, she wants
Daniel,
she wants Victoria to fix her hunchback, and so that's why she's helping Victoria. But Otto bumps into the warden and attacks him and kills him. And she's not really concerned about the briefcase of cash. What she's really excited about is he has a cell phone. So she immediately is like, I can update my MySpace page. And like right away.
That's how somebody over the age of 40 wrote this movie. Because they're talking about MySpace and this, like, she's always on her phone. She's on that damn phone.
Yeah, there is a part where she's like ask Victoria, like, why don't you want to have a phone like this? And you see Victoria's phone, and it's like a flip phone. She's she's too good for a smartphone. But I mean, Otto is definitely played up to be just sort of like this kind of vapid airhead. She takes some selfies with some dead inmates. They're really playing up it, as you said, like these dumb young girls and all of their silly interests and everything. So she eventually gets back to Victoria, and Victoria in the cave, rather than trying to escape, she's deciding here while this riot's going on, I'm going to make my creation. So she has, I think she's got like all the body parts she needs because riot, people are getting killed left and right. And she's going to make her Eve, her superwoman. But and she says, like, soon all will know the name Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. And then that's when we get the big title card splash on the screen, the Frankenstein in a women's prison. And we get some. I
gotta say, I loved the fact that they used a miniature for the like exterior shots of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought it was just like, I guess I thought it was like a digital background or something, but no, it's like you see later on, several times that it's a full-on miniature. I mean, it's not something like to the level of Ridley Scott's stuff in Blade Runner, but I do really appreciate seeing miniatures in movies.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly like the low budget movies of like this time period. You just don't see this kind of thing anymore because if you know you're watching a low budget movie, like you're not expecting a lot out of the special effects. And so, I mean, like we see this often with like Wild Eye movies or, things that you'll see on Tubi or the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever. And like they can get away with some pretty like dog shit CGI. And
oh man, I'm not going to go into it any like super deep, but Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys on Sci-Fi. I watched that one Christmas at my aunt's house, like when we were visiting family, and it was probably the worst movie I had ever seen at that point in my life. It looked, oh my god, yeah, I'm just not even gonna.
Yeah, that's, like when you're not expecting great things, like those things can kind of breeze by and it's like it's fine. But we talked recently about a couple of cases where like if you don't have the money, there's fun things you can do instead. You can really kind of lean into the cheapness of it, whether it be like especially bad CGI or like have something happen off camera and we know that it didn't, like a car crash. That was the remake to The Brain That Wouldn't Die, where like
it wouldn't die. Yeah,
we just did not see the car crash happen, and it was very obvious that like the car was still fine after the crash, and like that's fun. Like we know it, they're not fooling us, and that's fine. And it's the same thing with this. Like this, like you said, this miniature is not 100% convincing. But it looks pretty good, and it like shows you that they care, and they're trying to make it look as good as they can. I appreciate that. Like, again, it's fine if you don't have the money and you got to go with the terrible CGI. That can also be fine, but like, just this little extra effort is like these guys are putting everything they can into it. They're trying every penny they spend. They want it on the screen, and you got to commend them for that.
Oh, definitely.
But this credit sequence, we see the prison from the outside, I think for the first time, and then we also see the town near the prison. So I think I'm not sure, like it's a fictional place, Campuna. I'm not sure if it's like the country or the city or what, but it's just like somewhere in South America. It's vaguely, Latin-ish, but like, kind of hand wavy. Like, don't think about it too hard. It's somewhere south of here, basically. And like we'll see, there's like people in sort of like South American indigenous, like tribal regalia, like dancing, doing performing, but they're performing at like a street festival where tourists are and stuff. Like it like if you've been to Mexico or like Brazil or even like out west in America where there are like Native American indigenous reservations and stuff, like this is not an uncommon sight. Variations of this, but we go from that, like as the credits end, we see two guys, kind of like sketchy guys in a back alley, like near this like hand wavy, vague, indigenous festival, carnival, whatever it is, like one of the guys is like trying to get as much information as he can about the women's prison. He wants to go there, and the local sketchy guy is like, nah, you don't want to go up there, man. Like it's bad news up there. Just steer clear. And I don't remember if he like gives him something else, if they're trading information or whatever, but like
I think he's just buying the coke.
Okay.
Then he won't, like, he's like, look, you want to buy drugs, that's fine, but I'm not telling you about that women's prison. You need to keep the fuck away from there. And the guy's also supposed to be Australian, I guess.
There is some real wild accents going on in this.
Oh yeah.
One of our like the only like local person we have in this, we'll meet shortly. I think her accent is supposed to be vaguely, Latina, Mexican, something like that. But it goes into like a Hungarian quality at points.
Yeah, I was going to say there's moments where it goes from like South American into Eastern European and then back to South American, and it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But so yeah, once these two guys part ways, the guy who was buying the coke bumps into another guy, and we find out that they are both they both have, like, you know, History Channel type fake, you know, paranormal type shows. Well, eventually.
Hey, hold on now, Anthony. One of them is the host of an Ancient Aliens show, and I'll have you know that all that shit really happened.
Yeah, but you know, again, like, this is the kind of stuff where I'm just like, okay, the people making this, they get it, you know, like they're
they're in on the joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have Marco, who hasn't. It's like, it is literally, it's like ancient something aliens. Like, they added an additional word to, like, not be a copyright infringement thing, but it's very similar. And so yeah, there's that.
He's definitely supposed to be like the Greek guy that's on Ancient Aliens, George Tsoukalos. Mm-hmm. And like it's definitely him combined with a couple of the other people that always pop up on that show. Just like our other guy is definitely a combination of several ghost hunting TV show people. I think mostly supposed to be Zach Bagans.
Yeah.
But a way more toned down version of Zach Bagans. Like, real life Zach Bagans is fucking actually crazy compared to this guy.
Yeah, there's a lot less, like, come at me, bro, like, yelling at ghosts kind of shit.
Yeah, you're not sitting in the bathtub that a woman committed suicide in, pretending you're slitting your wrist and saying, fuck it, come get me.
Yeah. But like, yeah, definitely both of these guys, we're supposed to dislike these guys. They're both kind of sketchy. Oh, yeah. They're both shitty dudes. In fact, they don't, you know, they're competing with one another, but they end up having to, like, I think Marco has lost his camera equipment. It didn't get shipped or got stolen or something. But he manages to blackmail, is the other guy named James? I think it's just
Joe. I think.
Joe. Okay, yeah, I was like, I know it was something just really kind of plain. Yeah, Joe. Yeah. So yeah, we've got Joe and Marco, and Joe is sort of blackmailed into helping Marco out, and I think then we cut away from them once, like, they agree to work together, back to the lab where we're getting some mad science, and again, for a low budget thing, the mad science scene looks great. Like, they.
Oh yeah, like the wall. They've got the walls set up with, like, voltage, like amperes, whatever the fuck. Jesus. Like buttons and switches. I mean, she's got the like tables full of glowing and bubbling, like beakers and like chemistry stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like. The stuff with the prison, like the practical effects, even some of the, like, makeup, like for the monster and everything, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, you won me over, Frankenstein, in a women's prison.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's, in fact, like, I did notice that when some of the like the dials with, like, the needles bouncing and stuff, there's a few of those where I was like, I think they maybe CGI'd those needles in to, like, be moving. Yeah. Which, like, but that's great. Like, you put a tiny little bit of CGI here, even if it doesn't look perfect. Like, you've done so much world building here that, like, that does not bother me in the least. You know, it, like, CGI always works better when it's incorporated into something practical, and they really nailed that here. Yeah. But yeah, so we, you know, of course we eventually see, we have the lady monster, the Eve, on a slab, but next to that we have the like electric chair, and we have a male monster there that is, I think, pretty much just the warden. Like, I think maybe there's a few other parts in there, but it's mostly just like they're reviving the dead warden. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so I thought that was also kind of a fun thing to, like, be using the electric chair as a method of reviving our monster.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, you know. Why waste a perfectly good mechanism for shooting something full of lightning?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, we have, as things are kind of escalating, some of the stuff starts to overload. Victoria's yelling to shut it down, but Otto, of course, is fucking around on her cell phone, not paying attention, and so some stuff overheats and like sparks fly and everything, and then it just stops, and Victoria, seems mad, like, oh, this all fell apart, but no, the creature has come to life anyway, so everything's okay, and Victoria gets to have her Frankenstein celebration moment, where she does all the crazy mad science stuff, yells it's alive. At one point she says, "I am God," which is kind of a fun escalation of the most famous version of that. The "now I know what it feels like to be God." She's not saying she knows what it feels like. She's saying, "I am God," which is, definitely, a stronger statement. But, so she commands the resurrected warden to rise up, move his arms, and she's feeling very victorious until he attacks her and starts choking her, throwing her around, smashing up the lab and everything. But before he can do too much damage, Otto helps, and they manage to push him into one of the jail cells. Very convenient to be doing this work in a prison. So they lock him behind bars. And Otto's like, "Whoa, that was scary." And Victoria's like, "No, but it was great. We did it. I don't care that he's violent. We'll figure that out for a first attempt. We have resurrected the dead. That is incredible." Which, is also sort of like a step up from our normal Victor Frankenstein, who, resurrects the dead, and it isn't even violent at first, and he's just like, "No, fuck this thing. It looks weird. I hate it." Yeah,
it's much closer to like a Cushing Frankenstein or a Herbert West, where it's like, something horrible and fucked up happens, but you're not looking at the bright side, which is that we did resurrect a creature.
Yeah,
all that horrible stuff, that's just, that's collateral damage. Don't worry about that. We're moving past it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think then we have in the chaos, one thing that he did damage that is a little upsetting is he heavily damaged the female creature that they were going to be bringing to life next. So we've got to start over. We have to figure out what to do about that. We'll have to go around the prison. Hopefully you can find enough parts to start over. And then we, in a great sort of cut, we cut to, Joe and Marco with their two camera women. So, if there's not enough bodies around the jail, we're going to have some new ones coming very soon. And they are in like a diner. Or I guess actually we don't see Joe and Marco at first. We just see the two girls, and they are just bitches to this waitress.
Yeah, they're also on their phones, by the way.
Yeah, there definitely is a sense of this being made by like a man who finds women to be vapid and empty-headed and or at least likes to play up this sort of angle that our society thinks, at least.
The redhead Monica, played by Victoria DeMar, she is actually in all three of the classic monster in a women's prison movies. She's in Werewolf in a Women's Prison and Dracula in a Women's Prison, as well as this one, obviously.
Gotcha. I wonder if she's clearly she's a friend of the director, possibly,
Oh, yeah, well, she's also in a bunch of other stuff. I think when I was looking at her IMDb, she was in one of the Ginger Dead Man sequels. I think I saw an Evil Bong movie on there. So she's somebody that I think is a very popular actress to get for these kind of low-budget, like schlocky horror movie situations.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually just looking, and apparently, I think that these movies might be a trilogy. I think they might be I don't think Victoria Demare is playing the same character, but apparently Rosie comes back at some point, and it's the same actress.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think
wow.
I think maybe Werewolf is second and Dracula is third. The IMDb page for Dracula says 10 years after the horrific events of Werewolf in a women's prison. Might have to check those out just for fun.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I wonder if Vampire Videos is going to cover Dracula in a women's prison.
They absolutely should. They
need to get you on there for that one.
Yeah, I know they've got a long list too, but every now and then I'm like, hey, have you guys thought about this? And try to pitch some stuff with them. I think I might be on there again sometime soon. We've been talking, but I might, while I'm talking to them, then I might pitch this as a possible next thing. And they love bringing me on for terrible movies because they hate them and I love them. So, but yeah, so like Rosie, as I was just alluding to, that's the name of the waitress. I think that even this diner is just called Rosie's. But yeah, we have the two girls here, Monica and what's the other girl's name? Victoria.
Sasha.
No, Sasha, yes. Yeah, and so these are, as we said, they're the camera women and also maybe girlfriends of Marco and Joe.
That's definitely the vibe that kind of comes from Marco during several situations later in the movie, but I don't, like, she says that this is just a job, so I don't know. I was kind of confused about that too, but I guess it just doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because like here, when they're kind of like ignoring the waitress, they say something about like they're waiting on the guys. I don't like. For some reason, I was thinking they said waiting on their boyfriends, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. But regardless, they're not ordering because they're waiting on. Like we cut from them to the bathroom where Joe and Marco have found something to get along with each other, which is cocaine.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're...
If you've ever been around somebody that is doing cocaine or has just done cocaine, this is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're having, of course, the bathroom, a classic place to do cocaine. But so Rosie goes in the bathroom to check on them to see, why, where they are. And they try to send hey, this is the men's room. This is just for the boys. And then we get the beginning of what I think you might have been hinting at earlier. Rosie says, "So is this," and unbuttons her pants to reveal that she has a dick, and which freaks the guys out. They're like, "Oh no," they're weirded out by this. But she leaves. She just shows them this and then goes back out into the restaurant. And by the time the guys put the coke away and go follow her out, we are immediately into a lesbian sex scene where one of the girlfriends, Sasha, is going down on Rosie, and so Sasha is Marco's partner, camera woman, whatever, and he's very upset about this. And both of the guys, they're like, "Oh no," and until they discover that it's not a real dick. She's got a strap on, and then they're like, "Oh, cool, lesbian, make out stuff. That's hot. We're into that." So
before they did the reveal of it just being a dildo, I was like, wow. Well, cause at first you're like, oh great, this is going to be a butt of the joke trans character. This kind of expected in these exploitation movies that there's going to be some, vulgar and crass humor, but also that there's very likely to be, probably something a little bit racist or something a little bit homophobic or, something like that. So when she showed them the dick, and they were like freaking out, I was like, great, this character is going to get like killed, and they're going to try to use her body and then be like, oh, I can't use this for my female monster or something like that. I immediately went to like the worst possible conclusion. And then they come out and they're seeing Sasha like blowing Rosie, and I was like, oh, and it's like presented as like, yeah, fuck you, Marco, that you blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, so maybe they're not gonna be transphobic. And then it was just a dildo, so it was like, okay, well, just completely negates all of it, I guess.
Yeah, it did. It felt kind of like nonsensical. Like there wasn't really a point to it, other than that, like it was just a variation of a lesbian sex scene to do. But yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I was like, oh, this is going to be some trans panic kind of nonsense. But yeah, I mean, I guess given it to either be, you know, that or what we got, I guess what we got is the better option.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only, like, I mean, the idea that the guys would be upset with their girlfriends, you know, having a sexual encounter with a trans woman, but would not be upset with a cis woman is sort of problematic. But you know, but again, we're not supposed to think these guys are good guys, so it's fine. Like, of course, this is how they feel. It's more of that, like, you know, portrayal does not equal, like, you know, endorsement. Like, I think the filmmakers here are, you know, setting up Marco and Joe to be kind of, you know, scumbags. So it's fine. But I think we go from this whole sort of like sex encounter thing back to the jail, where we're back in the lab. Otto is tormenting the warden. You know, the newly revived, like, she's got, like, you know, she's been using his phone that she stole from him when he died. So she's, like, waving it at him, but, like, right out of his, you know, reach through the prison, or through the jail bars. And she's also continuing to badger Victoria, like, when are you going to fix my back that you promised me, and all this. And Victoria's like, as soon as I get my Eve completed, that's when we'll fix your back. But I managed to collect enough parts from the riot. We got her all back together, except I need a better brain. There's no good brain here. And she gives her a bunch of, just like a big wad of cash. Like, go out. I guess she gives her, like, instructions to, like, a, you know, a morgue or something. But, like, go and buy a brain and bring it back to me. You know, Otto shoves a bunch of the cash in her bra. It's, like, sticking out, you know, in her cleavage the whole time, like it's, you know, cartoonish. And she leaves, and then we go back to the diner where we have our, you know, 4, you know, quote unquote reporters here, or whatever, journalists. And they're asking Rosie, the waitress, for more information about the women's prison. And she is very adamant, like, you don't want to go there. It's bad news. Like, there's all these rumors that it's like, it's haunted, terrible experiments. Like, every bad thing you can think of has happened to this women's prison. Stay away. It's a place of great evil. And they ask what kind, and she actually lists vampires and werewolves. So I don't know, maybe this is the last of the series. I don't know. But regardless, she's like, yeah, there's a lot of bad shit out there. Do not go. And they're like, no, but we're scientists. We're professionals. We're there to deal with that kind of thing, and we want to go there and find out the true scientific explanation. Because obviously, vampires and werewolves aren't real, but what's real is aliens and ghosts.
Yeah, it's especially funny for Joe because he's like, we don't believe in supernatural entities, but ghosts literally are like a supernatural entity.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally grouped together with fucking monsters and vampires and werewolves and shit. And it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, at least the aliens one, you know, makes sense for him to be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, which is funny, like, Joe is the one who takes himself more seriously. Like, Marco, you know, like, he's constantly mocking Marco for his beliefs. But yeah, you know, so they kind of pitch Rosie on their shows and talk about all that. And we cut away from them to Otto, who is, you know, now walking through the town, and she bumps into one of the prison guards, and they kind of like recognize each other and sort of get into a confrontation. But they like continue on their way, basically. The guard has places to be, and obviously Otto's got an errand to run. And then she has an idea. What if I keep all of Victoria's money for myself and I just take that woman's brain instead? So she starts following after the guard. And I think we cut back again to the diner, where we get more of Joe and Marco. Like, we're really leaning into just how these guys won't shut up about their, their passion projects or whatever. And this is the point where I was like, man, what country is Rosie supposed to be from? Because the more she talks, the less I can like place her accent. But to begin with, the four are leaving, and Sasha, is like flirting with Rosie on their way out. Like, I'll come catch up with you after we're done with our stuff. We'll spend some more time together. She's clearly has no romantic interest in Marco. She's got her eye on Rosie at this point.
Yeah.
And again, like, Rosie's like, you really shouldn't go. It's such a foolish endeavor. Like, this is so dangerous. But they're like, nope, we're dedicated to it. So then we catch back up to Otto, who has followed the guard into her apartment. And the guard is like, gets like a text and is like, okay, fine, I'll take a selfie. So like some guy is, sexting with her or whatever. She goes to take a selfie and Otto pops up behind her. She sees it in the phone, but it's too late. And she chops off. She's got like a sickle, I think, just like a, so she like,
oh yeah, she's got one of those great fake, like super fake ass sickle like weapons that you see around Halloween time at like Walmart or at like Spirit Halloween, where it's got like it's insanely large looking, and also there's like some kind of skull motif on every part of it.
Yeah, and the blades, like 2 inches thick, like it couldn't cut through anything on her. Like, yeah, it's pretty great. But yeah, of course, here it works. She beheads the guard, and then like, but of course, in my notes I put, this is more of a sexy cat fight than you would expect a beheading scene to be. They roll around a little, it's
yeah.
This movie knows what it's here for. But yeah, ultimately, the Otto does chop her head off, and then I think we go back to our heroes, I guess, our four scientists. And Marco is really angry at Sasha for undermining him in front of the waitress. And this is the part where it's like, okay, no, Sasha rules. Like, he's like, I can't believe, you made me look bad in front of her. I'm a serious journalist. And she just beats the shit out of him. Like, she does not, she doesn't apologize. She's not just like, hey, shut up. Like, she's just like, oh, okay, you want to yell at me here in public in front of all these? I'm just going to fuck you up. And she just like he's like laying on the ground and she's like, don't forget, I'm in charge here. You do what I say. I am not your employee. And it was just like, okay, wow, great. Yeah, this dynamic is going to get interesting. Like, it wasn't what I expected that we would get out of this. And then I think we go back to Otto, who has got the head, and she calls Victoria, and she's like, got great news. The head is in perfect condition. And Victoria's like, the brain, you mean, right? The brain. And she's like, well, no, I mean, yeah, there's a brain in the head, but I got the whole head, so it's chill. It's safe. It's all protected in the brain or in the head. It's good. I'll be there soon with it. And Victoria's like, great. See you soon. And then immediately Otto goes to eat a banana, smells it, decides that it's rotten, drops it on the ground, steps on it, falls, just like, like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
And when she falls, she throws the head up in the air, and the hair gets tangled up in a ceiling fan. So now we have this head spinning around up in the air, and Otto is trying to knock it down, and in the process, she knocks the whole ceiling fan down. crushing the head and also causing like the globe that the light bulbs are in to shatter. And so now we have a smashed head that's just impaled with like 1,000 shards of glass. Like, it looks horrible. She has really fucked this up. And she's like, I can fix this. And so she like, pulls out some of the glass and then just like puts on a cartoonish level of makeup to try to cover up all the wounds, and it looks horrible. And then to just really kind of escalate this, she's gonna like she climbs out of a fire escape or something. She's on the roof. She's got the head in like some sort of case, some sort of like, suitcase type thing. She ends up dropping it off the roof of the building. It splats on the ground. Like, this head is just absolutely wrecked. And it also lands right next to a character that like we saw briefly as the prison guard was walking home. This like sort of classic like, blind street beggar type character who seems to have some sort of like positive relationship with the prison guard. And so of course the head splats on the ground next to him, and he's like, "What's that?" And somehow with, blind guy superpowers, he knows right away that this is, this is his friend, the guard, and he starts yelling bloody murder and everything. And Otto like climbs down and kills him right away to silence him. So I think she, continues on her way with this head that is basically useless. I don't know why she doesn't just take some time to find another person. But we cut from her to our crew, who they're trying to get a cab ride to the prison, but no one will take them. And eventually Sasha like goes back into the diner, and with a little bit of seduction and another lesbian sex scene, she's able to convince...
A very sweaty lesbian sex scene, too. Like, they are fucking... Like, some close-ups where Rosie's back is just soaked in sweat. I mean, I presume it's sweat. I don't know what other kind of liquid it would potentially be.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like... If they... if they're like... If they are making fictional sweat by spraying these actresses down with water, and if so, why? Or was it just so fucking hot on the set they couldn't deal with it, and the actresses are just sweating that much? Yeah, it's unclear. But once this sex scene ends, Sasha is able to convince Rosie to drive them. But while it's all going on, we have the other three in the crew like kind of waiting outside, pacing around, and Marco is furious that, not only has Sasha been undermining him, but he thought she was his girlfriend, and she's clearly a lesbian, clearly not interested in him at all, and everybody's getting laid here but me, and just being like a horrible incel douche. And I think... we cut from that back to... Or no, he's just pacing around by himself. Joe and Monica are actually... They're having a great time. They're wandering around street markets. They're like, buying little treats. They literally just filmed them like walking around whatever like South American city that they were like filming in, just hanging out. Yeah. So they're having a great time. And then we see, Otto arriving back in the prison, and Victoria is obviously pissed about how fucked up this head is. And she's like, all right, well, I guess since we can't continue with the Eve experiment right now, okay, I'll fix your back. Why don't we do that, and then we can figure out a way to get another head. And Otto is super excited. This is what she's been waiting for. And, I mean, it's obvious right away. We know what's going to happen. Somehow Otto doesn't. And, of course, Victoria just decapitates her and puts her head onto the Eve body. And the whole time we get some... This mad science scene's a little shorter than the earlier one. But we also do see that the warden monster is watching this all happen. So, we're getting sort of nods to a Bride of Frankenstein thing where he's like excited. They're making a lady version of me. This could be good. And then we see that our crew has arrived at the prison. and like they're standing out in front of a gate, and Marco and Joe are arguing. They have to share a camera. This is the whole thing. Like Marco lost his, and they both want to record their bit first. Joe ends up winning because it's his stuff, but it actually doesn't work out the way he wants it to, because as soon as he records his spot, Marco just like starts stealing whole lines of dialogue that he used, and so they get in a fight about that. I think Joe keeps like popping in and like saying, just saying like offensive stuff so that like Marco can't use the footage.
Yeah, well, he keeps saying "fucker in the pussy," which is like that, like actually something that was happening. I forget what city it was in or like what area. It was like maybe several cities, but there was this guy. It was like the same guy. He was whatever city that he was living in. He would like purposefully be outside, like trying to constantly find like film crews that were like filming for like nightly news or weekly news or whatever. And he would sometimes run up and yell "fucker in the pussy." Sometimes they would like interview him, not realizing who he was. And he would like start out being like, like, "Oh, well, blah, blah, blah." And then he would say "fucker in the pussy." So that's a timely reference, I guess, for when this movie came out in 2017.
That's pretty good. So like after they both do finally finish their things, the girls are all kind of worried. It seems like storms are coming. Maybe they should leave. But Joe and Marco are like, "We made it this far. If we get inside, we'll be protected from the storms, and this is why we're here." So Rosie even agrees to kind of like escort them the rest of the way to the prison. She warns them that there's all kinds of bad stuff out here. And the first thing is wild dogs. And here we do get probably the worst CGI of the movie. In fact, it's so bad that they make a joke about it in the credits. I don't know if you watched the whole way through the credits and saw it, but like when they had the no animals were harmed during the making of this movie, it says something like, and we assume we didn't even need to say that because, obviously those dogs looked fake as hell. Like, so yeah, they're having a little like, okay, we're not going to risk, using real dogs and getting our actors hurt. So this is where we lean into the CGI. And, of course, Rosie just pulls out a pistol and just shoots and kills several dogs. But she says they're wild dogs, but as soon as she kills them, another woman appears with a rifle, and she's like a local woman. She's speaking, I think, just some fake language. I don't think it's anything real as far as I could tell. She's supposed to be, a local native to this town, and she is furious because those aren't wild dogs. They're her dogs. And for some reason, the way she decides to tell that things can be reconciled and she can forgive these people for having murdered several of her dogs is, of course, lesbian sex scene. So yeah, we have I think Monica and Sasha, but not Rosie, get dragged over, and they lay all the three of them lay down on a blanket and take off their tops and roll around for a little while. Marco is pissed. This one goes on a while, and like Rosie even is looking a little jealous. But by the time it's all over, Sasha is like, "Sorry, I had to do it just to like, I only have eyes for you, baby." Like, and also while I was fooling around with her, I know she took your gun away, at rifle point, but I got it back from her. So here's your pistol. And Rosie's like, "Oh, thanks," so they're fine. And they all kind of start making their way, continuing to the prison. Marco kind of like, lays back a little bit and like tries to hit on the native girl, and she is not interested in him. Like, she is. Yeah. Also, apparently, like Marco apparently has a thing for lesbians, and it is not working out for him. But we go so we're getting to where like our two storylines are getting close to colliding. We go back to the prison where Victoria is flipping switches, ready to revive her Eve. And of course, before she had Otto to help her, but now she doesn't because obviously she's killed Otto. and so we see a little bit of more mad science stuff, and then we go back to our camera crew, and I think Monica is like, what if instead of fighting all the time and stealing each other's lines and having to like, take time so that everybody can use the camera and everything, what if we do like a big crossover episode? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, it would be an event, ancient space aliens and ghost chasers together for one big job. And I think both of the guys, their egos are a little too big to like, fully get on board with this. Joe's like, nah, I hate this alien bullshit. I'm not getting involved in that. But then this is like they're almost to the door of the prison, and we suddenly see like the top open up and a big lightning rod come rising out. And Marco's like, see, I told you, it's an alien communication device. It's let's go in there. We're going to find all the aliens. And like, lightning is striking the thing and everything. And we see, inside, of course, Eve being zapped to life. And yeah, like this part, I think we're really like bouncing back and forth quick. We have like Joe and Marco continuing to argue about what's really happening here. And then, Otto wakes up and, Victoria's like, everything's fixed. Your back is fine. Feel. And she's like touching her back. She's like, oh wow, this is amazing. But why is it so dark? I can't see any. Do I have bandages? What's going on? And Victoria's like, yeah, it's super dark in here. The power went out when I was working on your back. I'll get that power back on here in just a minute. But as much of an airhead as Otto has kind of been portrayed to this point, she knows she's being lied to, and she's like, what? You blinded me? I'm blind now? I can't even look at my phone anymore? So
yeah, yet another universal callback or reference. What is it? Ghost of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
because the blood types don't match, the monster or the Igor in the monster's body is blind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought the same thing. Like, this was a nice reference. But in spite of being blind and not really like having a good grasp of moving around in the world as a blind person yet, she does manage to overpower Victoria and throw her into a jail cell and lock her. And then she's like, they say that when you're blind, all of your other senses get more powerful. And I think it's true because I sense that some people have just come into the prison. There's some new intruders, and I bet they all have eyes. So maybe I can get a new set of eyes, and then maybe I'll let you out so that you can put the new eyes in me. And so not only is she locks up Victoria, but then she's like, I could use some help. So she lets the warden Frankenstein monster out. And as he comes out, he almost looks like he's going to attack her. And then he says, friend? And she's like, yes, I'm your friend. And we're going to work together, and we're going to make everything better. We got to find these intruders. We got to capture them. And then we cut away from them back to the crews, who were like, I think they asked Rosie, how many floors are in this prison? We got a lot to explore. And she's like, 7 levels, like the 7 levels of hell. There's again, the accent thing, like I wonder if they're kind of being silly here, because she's definitely playing like there's hints of like the sort of Romani character who knows all about the supernatural, sort of intertwined into the way that she's being portrayed. So the European stuff sort of makes sense, but it also could just be that this actress just isn't great at accents also. So who knows?
Well, I looked it up earlier just to be sure, and Werewolf in a Women's Prison came first. It was in 2006, and then Dracula in a Women's Prison came out like right before this, and Rosie is in it. Okay. And apparently she's like a pretty big character in the movie. And this is like the third and final film in the trilogy, because Otto and Victoria Frankenstein, played by the same actresses, pop up. And I guess that's how, at the beginning of this movie, you know, Victoria was already in prison.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking that Rosie is kind of meant to be like that sort of supernaturally aware character. Like, she's got a past dealing with creatures of the night, and so that's definitely the vibe that I think they were trying to go with for her.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And that makes sense with her saying that, like, there are, you know, vampires and werewolves in the prison and everything. Interesting. But so yeah, we have them exploring, and of course, you know, Joe has some sort of like nonsense ghost meter thing that he's using, and he's like, you know, it's going off here, and I sense a cold spot, but I don't see anything. And then suddenly, you know, Frankenwarden just like pops up behind him, grabs him, and just like, you know, this is like they're on like a, you know, a staircase, but it's like one of those like open centered kind of spiraling staircases, and he just throws him down the center shaft. And you know, he falls down to the bottom, and then I think does he kill one of the girls as well, or he attacks?
Yeah, he grabs Monica and like pulls her in by her legs, and they try to rescue her by like pulling on her arms, but when they pull on her arms, they realize that he's like torn her in half, and so she's just like an upper torso.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's the last we'll have of her. And you know, Marco immediately like picks up the camera, he starts filming, and he's like, you know, this confirms everything I thought. You know, this isn't an alien, obviously. It's a mutilated human, just like the mutilated cattle that we all know about. So this is the result of alien experimentation. And Sasha's like, Marco, fuck you. Like, our two friends just got killed, and she like grabs the camera and throws it down the stairs. But then we see that, no, Joe is not dead, even though he, you know, was thrown down several flights of stairs. He wakes up, and, you know, Otto/Eve, whatever you want to call her, is right there, and she's like, ah, yes, you have such beautiful eyes. And so, you know, of course, she rips his eyeballs out of his head and puts them in a jar of liquid, and, you know, he's screaming and everything. And then we you know, upstairs, Marco and Sasha are hearing all the screaming, and they're like, oh God, like something horrible is happening downstairs. And right away, Marco's like, yeah, good luck. And he just like takes off up the stairs. He's abandoning, I mean, you know, obviously Sasha doesn't care much for him either. So I don't know why he would necessarily want to protect her, other than that, like, you know, it would be a good thing to do, but nope, he takes off. I think then we have upstairs where he is, you know, the Frankenwarden is up there as well. He attacks Marco, and then we just end up in like a pretty extended cartoonish Scooby-Doo style chase throughout the prison. You know, the warden chasing Marco, some of the girls running around. I think Sasha and Rosie find Joe dead and, you know, eyeless, and they're screaming. Marco thinks he's sneaking up on the warden. He tries to film him, but then the warden, you know, finds him, and the chase continues. Everybody bumps into everybody over the course of this. It goes on for a few minutes. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, if you put the Benny Hill theme over it, it wouldn't feel out of place.
Absolutely, yeah. But like, yeah, as all that's going on, we see Victoria is, you know, she's locked up alone in her cell in the lab. She's trying to find a way to escape. And eventually, Sasha and Rosie end up in the lab. And they see a window, and they're like, "Oh, this is our way out." But there's bars, of course, so they can't do it. And then they see behind them in a cell, there's this woman, and they're like, "What's up with her? What should we do?" And she's like, "Have you seen those horrible things, those monsters?" And the girls are like, "Yeah, we saw them." And she's like, "They locked me in here. That, you know, I'm the hero here." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll get you out." And so they, you know, let her out right away. And they're like, "Do you know a way out of here? Can you help us out?" And Victoria's like, "Yeah, we can get out of here, but first, we must destroy this prison. We must burn it to the ground with those things inside." And they're like, who are they? Where did they come from? and Victoria chooses not to like keep up this charade for too much or for too long. She's like, they're my son and my daughter, but I was wrong to make them. And then in another nod to the other big Frankenstein franchise, she says, the Frankenstein monsters must be destroyed.
Yeah. Pretty on the nose reference there, but I appreciated that as well.
Yeah. And so then we cut away from them to the warden who's about to kill Marco, but then he gets distracted because Eve, somewhere else in the prison, is calling out. And she's saying, friend, come to the lab. I need your help. Come help me, friend. And it was like at this point, and this kind of continues from here, I realized that like this is kind of a neat thing that this movie does and no one else has done as far as I know. She is the Otto, Eve, whatever you want to call her. She has given the monster a name, and the name is Friend, which is really cool. You know, like the monster always gets named the monster, the creature, the fiend. Like he gets a noun. He's always, you know, he never gets a real person name. So why not this is a new noun that we've never seen him sort of saddled with. But of course it's obviously a word that he's used frequently throughout all of the Frankenstein, you know, media we've watched over the years. But to like have it sort of specifically attached to him as a name, I was like, I've never seen that before. And that's, I like it. I thought this was really cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it done before either, to be perfectly honest. Like, at least nothing comes to mind anyways.
Yeah. And, you know, it works. Like, of course, like, being kind to this creation, you know, makes... They are positively connected at this point. And so he does not kill Marco. He just turns and, you know, follows the sound of Eve's voice. And, you know, Marco, being the stupid fucking idiot that he is like, who was that? I could be your friend. Like, I hear a sexy lady voice. Maybe I should flirt, even though I just narrowly escaped with my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we do go back down to the lab where Eve and the warden catch up with each other. She has a jar full of eyes and is like, okay, Victoria, I'll let you out, but I want a transplant now. You gotta put these good eyes in me. And we get this sort of this whole scene here is pretty, it's like tense in a way that was kind of impressive because there's been some planning that we have not been privy to, but like, you know what's going on right away. Like, they do a good job of setting up the stage. We have Sasha and Rosie hiding behind the surgical slab. We have Victoria back in her cell, you know, she seems to be locked up again. And then there's also this a smashed jail cell, you know, set of bars laying on the ground. And several times Victoria's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Just, you know, you got to come let me out. And as the monster, as Friend, like, walks towards her, we keep cutting to this shot of like his foot about to step on the cell bars on the ground. And then like, you know, Eve stops him and is like, wait, something's weird. Something's going on here. And like, it just keeps happening. And like, over the course of this, we also see that Victoria has like a car battery and she's going to like, you know, clip the jumper cables to the other end of the bar. So like, they've set up this elaborate trap where like they're going to try to like electrocute and kill the monster. And, you know, we're able to see that they've put this whole plan together while we weren't there. And I really appreciated how well this was shot and set up, that like no one's going to be confused as to what's going on here. But yeah, Eve can sense that somebody else is in the room and is like, I know you're up to something. Come out now, and, you know, I'll let you live and all this. But like, before they come out, I think Marco ends up bumbling his way in. And, you know, he's got his whole stupid theory that these monsters are actually humans who've been mutilated by aliens. So he's like, don't worry, I'll save you. I'll save you from the aliens. We'll help you out. We'll get, you know, the medical care you need to get you back to normal and everything. And like Eve is like, what's going on? And then he's like, so, but before that, like, so when the aliens came, like, he just starts asking like a bunch of stupid fanboy alien questions. And eventually Eve is like, friend, kill this guy. I'm tired of this guy. So our friend monster warden like goes over and just like kills Marco, which I appreciate that, like, he is killed for being annoying, which is the death that he deserves, you know?
Yeah.
But so once Marco is dead, Eve's like, okay, last chance. You see what we're capable of. Come out now, and I, we won't hurt you. So Rosie pops up and is like, yeah, we're here. Come over this way. And like, she ends up coaxing friend to step onto the bars. Victoria, puts the jumper cable on at the right time. He gets electrocuted, like bursts into flames. And he's holding the jar of eyeballs, which of course he drops in the process. It's, sort of a repeat of what happened with the head earlier. Smashes, the eyeballs all get mushed up. And now Eve is furious that her experiment got ruined by this creation. But so then, like, of course, Victoria wasn't actually locked up. She comes right out. And so now we have our three, sort of protagonists, Victoria, Sasha, and Rosie, who are trying to escape. And, we've got our male monster friend who is dead. And we have Eve, who's still alive and angry, but is blind. So they're able to kind of like duck and dodge and get past her. But as Sasha and Rosie get out of the room, Victoria is suddenly impaled on like a prison bar that she's just, and it's like, through the stomach, impaled against the wall, so Eve's got her. So our sort of innocent characters, they're going to get away. But now we've got this final confrontation between, female mad scientist and female creation, sort of a gender flip of most Frankenstein films. And Victoria's like, why? I tried to help you. And Otto is like, no, you used me. You said you were going to help me, but I was a pawn in your games or whatever. And now you're going to be punished for it. But before you do you have anything left to say? And then we get maybe the most explicit of all of the references to classic Universal monster movies. Victoria looks at Eve and she says, we belong dead. And like, flips a self-destruct lever, setting us up exactly the way Bride of Frankenstein ends.
Yep. Things
start exploding. The prison's, going up in flames and, rubble flying everywhere. And, as we have in Bride, where we have our sort of innocent-ish characters of Victor, or of Henry and Elizabeth escaping, here we have Sasha and Rosie escape, and they, see the prison going up in flames, and they're like, what do we do now? There's a lot of dead people, and we're the last to have seen them. Are we going to get into trouble here with the authorities? And Rosie's like, I've been around here a while. I know the drill. Like, we'll blame a drug war. The drug war, no one's going to invent. It's fine. We'll be fine. And then in a reference to a completely unrelated horror film, a hand reaches out of the ground and grabs Rosie's ankle, but then she wakes up. It was just a dream. So, a little nod to Carrie there. But the dream, usually when we have somebody wake from a dream, they're in bed, but here Rosie was just, she was dozing as sunbathing, topless, of course. They're home, they're safe in America. They've gotten away from all of the chaos. Everything's fine now. But then, like a sort of double jump scare ending thing, friend also pops up and attacks them, which kind of feels like maybe a nod to the first Friday the 13th, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
And that's how it ends, where it's like unclear if that was a dream or not. That's friend pops up, freeze frame, credits. So there's no real explanation for how it could possibly have been him. but at this point, I don't think we're going to get another sequel to clear any of that up. So we're just kind of left with like a sort of fun monster movie jump scare cliffhanger that doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, they could have, if they wanted to do one more, they could do a like a House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula sort of monster mash movie where they have all of them inside the women's prison or a new women's prison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun, actually. Like, it could have been like Van Helsing in a women's prison, and it's like, Vanessa Helsing coming to town to try to clear out the monsters, and exactly. They could have been really fun. But this, at least we got this silly trilogy, and like I promise you, within the next week, I will have watched the other two, because this is not a good movie, but it is a fun movie, and it's a lovingly made movie. And there's definitely a lot of these kind of like, especially when we get into like sexploitation. The bar is very low for what you need for a sexploitation movie to be successful at what it's trying to do, right? Like as long as you get some sex, as long as there's some boobs, some nudity, the people that want that kind of thing are going to be, as fairly satisfied. So you really don't have to have good special effects. You don't have to have good makeup for your monster. You don't have to build a miniature prison. You obviously don't have to like do your research and make references to a variety of Universal classic monster movies, but they did all of those things, and that's great. Like I really appreciate that they went that far when they absolutely did not need to.
Yeah, and honestly, I might end up watching the other two as well, because I'm really curious if those also have like some deep cut Universal horror references.
Yeah, I would assume as much. Like especially like having these the three sort of big Universal monsters as the starring characters in these or whatever. Like it feels like inevitable that they would have to be like lean, and it's not even vampire in a women's prison, it's Dracula. So it's Dracula. Yeah. So it's good on them for this. I had a great time. I think anybody would have a good time with this. Like, I'm not anybody, but like.
Well, yeah. There's definitely some people that would be absolutely livid that they were having to sit through this movie.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like if you have been with the Frankencast all these years and listened to all of the all of the movies we've been talking about, you probably will find some stuff to have fun with in this. But your mileage may vary depending on how much you can tolerate, unnecessary lesbian makeout scenes. But that being said, I think it's fun. As much as you can recommend a thing like this, with all the caveats we've just given, if this is your thing, it's on Tubi. You should. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi. I guess I should. I can't remember. But you should definitely.
I watched it on Awesome, I think is the name of the app.
Okay.
I didn't see it on Tubi, but then again, I might have. I don't know. But it's available to stream on Prime. You have to rent it. It's free on Fawsome, where I watched it, but Fawsome's kind of like Tubi, where they have ad breaks in the middle. It's not as good as Tubi because there's like an ad break every 10 minutes instead of like Tubi, where it's a couple of ad breaks throughout the whole movie and then that's it. But
regardless, definitely recommend tracking this down if you can find it somewhere, because it's a good time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Anthony, you know what's coming up next?
So next week, it will just be me. I'm going to do another one of my Tubi deep dives. I'm looking next week. I think we're going to be talking about Dr. Hackenstein, a sort of late 80s horror comedy. And then I believe the week after that, if things go according to plan, I think we will have Tim Kirk back on. I just recently talked to him over on the Patreon, and we were talking about how it'd been a while since we had him over on the main feed. So I believe we're going to have Tim Kirk. I think we might be doing a couple movies over the next week or two, or next couple weeks with Tim. So catch that 2 weeks from now. Next week, Dr. Hackenstein. Week after, something fun with Tim Kirk.
Definitely. I love the Tim Kirk episodes. Where can they find us, Anthony?
So you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also over on YouTube. And of course, you can always find us, as I just mentioned, at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where, there's a bonus episode every week. Sometimes it's Hayden over there with me. Sometimes me and Eric talk about the Munsters. Sometimes Tim Kirk pops in, and I'll just say we decided to read The Last Man by Mary Shelley. So you'll catch that pretty soon. We had a really nice chat about this book that neither of us had read. So catch that pretty soon, and plenty more where that came from.
Definitely. I gotta say, I love the Patreon. I've been a Patreon member, I guess, really since you guys started it. But my only complaint is that now that I'm actually on the show, I have far less of the Patreon episodes to listen to, because I don't listen to my own episodes.
Yeah, understandable. I listen to our episodes to edit them and then don't listen to them again. So, which is one of the reasons that I've been trying to do, vary things so that nobody's feeling bored, and you've got some fun surprises for you as well. So I'm glad that there's still some stuff over there for you to enjoy, even though you're now doing some heavy lifting over there also.
Oh yeah. But definitely go check that out if you're so inclined, and thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman, Eric Velasquez, and Hayden Orr. Follow us online at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.